Guess who's back? Hello, everybody. Back again. Brother Ron. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? And still black. Guess who's back? It's Brother Ron. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. It's been a long time. Should never left y'all, but I never left. We right here. All right. Pastor, Right Reverend Dinka and Deacon Bishop DMX, aka Pastor Earl Simmons, would say, "We right here. We ain't going anywhere." Okay, thank y'all for tuning out to tune in to get in what you how you fit in. This is the We All Be Experience news free Dixie for the 21st century. I just wanted to get back on here, get in the habit of speaking truth to empire, speaking truth to empower and inspire. There's a lot to talk about right now, and it's good. God is real. God is real. Um, there's a silver lining in everything, and whatever you seek, ye shall find. So I hope you found a lot of great, good, and pleasant things in this moment in our collective story, our history. And I just want to talk a couple things been on my mind, been germinating in my mind. I've been trying to find the right time to go live and stuff like that. I got inspired by Trump the other day. He did his speech about cracking down on censorship. I don't believe in any type of censorship, any shape, form, or fashion. I reserve the right to express myself. I want other people to have the right, the protected rights to express themselves. I don't believe that we all should agree on anything. We should agree to disagree and still be respectful about it. And I think this is a great move. When I saw Trump talk about, holding these social media platforms accountable, transparency, because um, people talk about 1984 and Orwellian stuff and dictatorships and fascism, but we've been living through that the last 4 plus 8 plus, I would say, almost 10 years now. They really been cracking down on people's right to express themselves. Uh, they have been attacking the First Amendment like nobody's business. People think this is a new recent phenomenon, but I couldn't remember like it was yesterday how they went after Alex Jones right after the 2016 selection. They went after Alex Jones. They deplatformed Alex Jones, and that was just the first of many to come. But he was one of the most high profile. They recently have used lawfare, as they say, to dismantle his media empire. Um, they eminent domain everything, man. You don't own anything in this system. People think that they own stuff, but you pay taxes on things you're supposed to own outright. And the government can come by anytime to take stuff you think you own. You think that's your right, Uh, like the quote, the late great, or the paraphrase, the late great comedian George Carlin. This is an ownership society. If you don't own anything, you have no rights. You don't have anything, but how do you own anything outright? Like I said, you could pay off your mortgage, pay your taxes, and the government can decide one day, I want your property, or we want your property. We're gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. So the government is really the godfather. The government is the mob. But with that said, there's some things I want to weigh in on that's been weighing on my mind. And but to hear President elect or select Donald Trump to talk about cracking down on censorship was really refreshing. Was a great start to this week. And Donald Trump has not been quiet. Rumble, Orange Man, rumble. Rumble, Orange Man, rumble. He's doing his thing, shaking up. He shook up the world last week. Now he's shaking up the world. You feeling the after effects of what a Trump Second term looks like he's putting together his dream team cabinet. I told people that Donald Trump will have one of the greatest presidential cabinets, excuse me, in history. And people laughed at me online. It's like people laugh at me when I told people that Donald Trump was going to win in a blowout, which he did as far as popular votes as well as the electoral college. And people are still holding out hope that, that the left could do something to disrupt business as usual. But the thing about it is, Donald Trump has disrupted business as usual for the last almost 10 years going on since he made the political scene. He's a different animal altogether. And looking at his cabinet already, I mean, excited. Well, he got Tulsi Gabbard selected. They got to get vetted by Congress. Well, so we'll see how that goes. But he selected Tulsi Gabbard to be his national intelligence director. Let me make sure I got that right. It's a national intelligence director. Um, oh, national intelligence, but he got people really talking about the Matt Gatz selection to attorney general. And he's a firebrand, unique, passionate individual who really has empathy for the uh, insurrectionists of J6, the J6 insurrectionists. A lot of people are fearing that there may be a pardon in their futures. The J6, because even President Trump showed sympathy and compassion and empathy for the J6 people. They are looked upon in certain factions and circles in this country as political prisoners. And that's interesting to think about. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, what's the news on her? What's that? Director of National Intelligence, right? She's been selected by Trump. And that's the thing. People say we live in a very misogynistic and racist country. But if the Democrats would have selected Tulsi Gabbard, if they had a ticket of Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., I believe that ticket would, Trump could have still won, but it would have been a closer selection. Because Tulsi Gabbard actually, she has the traits and characteristics and the integrity from what I can get. I don't know her personally, but what I think of when I think of Tulsi Gabbard, I think of somebody who's really a patriot, an honest broker, a truth teller, transparent, has integrity, has very good high character. A person like that, who happens to also be a woman, I could see her being the first woman president. I really could. And she, in Trump's Justice League or Avengers or X-Men, she is like the Wonder Woman of the group. And so, yeah, I think that that was a great pick for that particular office as well. That was a phenomenal selection for that particular job because she has experience firsthand, not only on the military front lines, but also being targeted by government, weaponized against people who were maybe not as supportive of the Biden Harris regime. So she was put on a terror watch list, excuse me, a person who was a public servant and also a military veteran being treated like an enemy of the state is very deplorable. Now that's really deplorable. Not people who vote for people like Donald Trump or whatever who don't vote Democrat. Those are not deplorable, but the people, entities who thought it was a wise decision to character assassinate and to undermine the civil liberties of someone like Tulsi Gabbard, Lieutenant Colonel Tulsi Gabbard, Honorable Congresswoman, former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. That's the issue. And you got Vivek, I like him. I wasn't really too keen on him at first, but once I started hearing him speak, Vivek Swami or whatever y'all know his name, authentic Indian man, Indian American, Kamala's cousin. No, I was joking. With him and Elon Musk heading the Department of Government Efficiency, I'm very excited about the future, y'all. I'm really excited about the future. Trump means business. Trump, the first term, he talked about draining the swamp, but he had a cabinet full of swamp creatures. They left the swamp and got into the Oval Office. So he had a cabinet of swamp creatures, right? Running amok. You got to think about the nomination of Matt Gaetz or Gates, right? Matt Gates for Attorney General is really a sea change from William Barr, who was Trump's Attorney General towards the end of the first term, who basically was undermining Trump's efforts to really dive into what was going on with the 2020 selection. And William Barr said was nothing to it. And that was the top attorney general. That was the attorney general for Trump at the end, the top lawman in the country, would not even hear out the president inquiries, whatever reason. Now, Rudy. He went all the way. He lost millions of dollars, literally. He lost millions of dollars riding with Trump. And I'm sure Trump gonna right that ship with Rudy G. But William Barr is interesting. He is a swamp creature. He's a second generation swamp creature. The reason why I say that because his father was part of the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, excuse me, which was the father of the CIA, as we know it, the Central Intelligence Agency. So his father was a member of the OSS as well as the CIA. He also was in charge at one point of the famous Dalton School up in New York City, a famous educational institution. And he was the guy that hired Jeffrey Epstein as an educator at the Dalton School. This is William Barr, the Attorney General for Trump first term. His father was OSS CIA. He was a government spook who basically, I guess, groomed or developed Jeffrey Epstein by giving him a job as a teacher or whatnot at the Dalton School. Take a look; it's all online. And with that said, also his father was a novelist, I believe. He wrote a book that basically like a predictive programming of the type of person that Jeffrey Epstein will become later on. A lot of people feel that Jeffrey Epstein was working for the feds. He was a Fed asset. His job was to get blackmail information to put people in very compromised sexual situations or entanglements, as we say, for 4 years entanglements. So those are the type of people that Trump had around him. Then people talk about, well, Kamala was parading the fact that she got the endorsement of the Cheney people, of the Cheney mob, the Cheney crime family, Dick and his daughter, Liz Cheney. And Dick Cheney, I don't believe has an actual pumping heart. He doesn't have a human heart in his body. I think he got some type of artificial thing pumping, and that lets you know what type of man. He has no heart. Dick Cheney has no heart. He's cold. He's not even cold hearted. He's heartless. How can you be so heartless? That Kanye West song. In the night, how can you be so heartless? He has no heart. And let me make sure you can look this up. I'm kind of freestyling tonight, but I'm not freestyling. I'm just throwing stuff to the wall like mom spaghetti. Got my palms so sweaty. Got mom spaghetti. No Machiavelli. mm, mm. I mean, they put a mechanical heart. They might have, I don't know. It's kind of like David Rockefeller had all those heart transplants. I guess he didn't want to, pass on. 'Cause he knew hell was real. He was not looking forward to enjoying an extended vacation in hell. So he had all them heart transplants, lived to be over 100 years old. But maybe Dick Cheney do have a heart, because there was a rumor going around that he got the heart of Trayvon Martin, something like that. But organ harvesting is real, y'all. That's why you gotta stay up out these hospitals. Take it from me, take it from Brother Ron. Stay out the hospitals, take care of yourself. Um, as some of you may or may not know, I was in the hospital for a week, unexpected vacation. When God calls time out, you want to take a time out. So God put me on time out, had me laid up in the hospital. And what was crazy, what was not expecting was to be dealing with doctors, by 4 or 5 doctors coming to me every day in my room while I was laid up with my big right toe under wraps, all messed up. Like my big right toe on that Saturday before I got checked in for a week, just about exploded like a potato in the microwave, like how you have a microwave potato, or you microwave the potato and you leave it too long or whatever, or it busts like a grape, whatever. It was crazy. It looked very cartoony. It's very disturbing looking. And when I got checked in on that Sunday after waiting 15 plus hours in the ER with bloody soaked bandages, pus and blood that's coming out, they was telling me by Monday morning we're gonna have to cut off your toe. I said, wait a minute, you haven't done any X-rays or you didn't do any MRI, and they said, no, we're gonna cut it off the way it looks. It had a smell to it, pus, blood coming out. It didn't look pretty, folks. It looked like mom's spaghetti or lasagna. Mom's lasagna. It looked really raggedy. It really was like, it was like Emmett Till's face after his vacation from Mississippi. It looked terrible. And luckily I had my foot doctor's cell phone, direct cell phone number in my phone. He gave it to me. He said it didn't matter, just text or call me if you ever have any trouble. So kind of like he was a guardian angel in a way, because he was on vacation when I was bothering him with my issue. But I had to get a second, a third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth opinion, because I had like 4 or 5 doctors coming in every day telling me, we're gonna cut your toe off. We need to cut it off. It's gonna, you got a bone infection. It's going to spread. And when the MRI came back and the image was shaky, it wasn't good. Even the technician told me at the time that the image was not a good image, but he went ahead and proceeded with the rest of the procedure. Because, like, MRIs are very expensive, and I tried to get one done a couple of months before with my foot doctor, and the insurance company denied it. But since I had this problem now, they went ahead and proved it. I'm in the hospital, and I don't know. I don't know. God is good, because I just started being not combative, but I started pushing back on what the doctor's narratives was about me getting my toe cut off, because they told me we could, amputate your toe. Or we could give you 6 weeks of IV antibiotics treatment, for 6 weeks, and I had to be laid up in the bed and couldn't move a muscle, couldn't fart, couldn't sneeze. Or else my foot would be done for. The infection would spread, and all my toes would be gone. It probably cut off half of my right foot. I was like, wait a minute. But then one of the med students or interns, whatever you call him, he doing his residency or whatever, because it's a research facility. So it's partnering with a university. And they helped. I remember my first day of being checked into my room, I had like a Dr. Doogie House looking doctor come in with a bunch of young students, like college med students, whatever. I feel like a zoo animal. I feel like I was on display in SeaWorld or something. But I was cool with it. And I cracked jokes, we laughed a little bit, and then went about their business. But I had doctors starting at 6 o'clock in the morning for throughout the morning coming in telling me that must get cut off. And I kept on fighting back because the MRI was inconclusive, right? Y'all couldn't tell if there was a bone infection. No, but we feel like looking at what we're looking at, they need, and mind you, my toe was getting better. It stopped smelling. It stopped leaking pus and blood. It was healing, and even the nurses took note of of how much progress was made in my toe healing. But they were animate. And what's interesting is that my foot doctor, he's a Trump supporter. So he said, we're gonna make brother Ron's big right toe great again. But the doctor who wanted to cut my toe off, the surgeon, he was a Kamala Harris supporter. I can't make this up, folks. He told me, all right, he's voting for Kamala, and that big right toe gotta go like Joe. He said that big right toe gotta go like Joe. He didn't say it like that. I'm thinking in my head, but he told me he was a Kamala Harris supporter. And immediately he didn't care about what the X-rays or MRI may say. We gonna cut that big right toe out. I said, hell no, my big right toe can't go. I said, hell no, my big right toe can't go. I didn't say it like that, but luckily I had my foot doctor, the Trump supporter, the MAGA foot doctor on speed dial. He looked at the photo, said, do not let them cut your toe off, let them debride, clean the wound, remove dead tissue, but do not let them cut that toe off, because once they do that, there's no going back from that. And you got to relearn, because your big right toe is not just but your big toe is your balancing toe. So if you get that removed, you got to learn how to walk or do something, because that throws off everything. But anyway, I saved my toe. I don't know how. God is good. Went to my foot doctor. He did an x-ray. There was no bone infection. There was none. They kept on saying it was bone infection. If I didn't get the big toe cut off, then everything else be contaminating my foot. I'll lose toes instead of a toe. So no. And like I said, he's a Trump supporter. He said, hey, let's give it a second chance. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the other ones and no, let's get the toe out the way like Joe. Get the toe out the way like Joe. So thank God. But getting back to what I want to talk about tonight. But Trump is making headway. And like I told people about the censorship, because like I've been trying to upload videos to this channel that I want to share with you all. And these videos it's been going on 3 days to get these little 2-hour videos uploaded. And it's just looping for 2 days, 2 or 3 days. And I don't know if people know what a targeted individual is. I've been very targeted, man. I've been very targeted. I'm just not coming to that realization. I know it sounds funny, but brother Ron, look at the people you hang around, the Dick Gregory's and the Judge Joe Browns and stuff like that. But yeah, but I didn't know what I was getting into. But I have been targeted, just like being in the hospital. Y'all don't understand. I would advise anybody, do not go to the hospital unless you got to go, and have an advocate. Be your advocate. Don't let them jam you up with fear. Just like people been doing since Kamala lost this epic loss. You got preachers in Memphis and stuff spreading fear among the flock, using social media like Facebook Live to spread fear. And Dick Gregory will always say, he said, God and fear cannot exist in the same space. So how can you worship God when you're too busy spreading fear? So fear is a lot of people's God. People think we're going to go backwards and stuff. I mean, the country already been Project 2025. It's called America. Take it or leave it, baby. This country been Project 2025. So, I mean, Obama signed something that gave police immunity back during his term. How many black folks got killed on Obama's watch? You think about Jordan Davis. You think about Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling. This happened on Obama's watch. So what y'all talking about this Trump stuff? It's crazy to me. It's insane. But it's Trump derangement syndrome is a real phenomenon. And I'm gonna say it like this. You could take it how you want, baby. Donald Trump has freed more black people than Abraham Lincoln. Donald Trump has freed more black people than Abraham Lincoln. Donald John Trump has freed more black people than Abraham Lincoln. Y'all do not understand the ramifications of what happened this past November 5th, 2024. This is gonna be epic for not only black people but for America. Because what people can't understand or understand is that you cannot make America great again without black excellence. I'm do my Dr. Umar. You cannot make America great again without black excellence. You cannot make America great again without black excellence. You could not win the American Civil War. Now, I'm getting interference with the Wi-Fi. I'm just gonna push. I'm gonna soldier through it. We could not have won the American Civil War without U.S. colored troops, without black men taking a stand. Could not win the American West without black men. What Bob Marley sung about the Buffalo Soldiers, what Dick Gregory got on his assets about the Buffalo Soldiers was a tool for white supremacy, for manifest destiny. Yes, black people, we have the power to both free and enslave ourselves. What I mean about Donald Trump freeing black people, it's not about Donald Trump being the white savior of black people. I do not look at Donald Trump as being some type of John Brown figure or he's the great white hope. I look at Donald Trump as being somebody that told us years ago, why not take a chance on something different? Look at how the Democrats has run your cities into the ground. All these democratically controlled cities ain't about nothing. I'm a black man, a black red man, okay? I'm a black red man. I live in Shelby County, Tennessee. I live in Memphis, Tennessee, which is this county seat of Shelby County, Tennessee. I live in a red state. I live in one of the bluest parts in a red state. It's like you got Memphis and you got Nashville, and then everything else is red, right? It's kind of like how people describe Pennsylvania. You got Pittsburgh on one side, Philadelphia on the other side, and Alabama in that middle. That red meat in the middle. That's Tennessee. And I live in this bubble, this blue democratic plantation bubble. Nathan Bedford Forrest, all these people, these woke folks, they fought to take down his statue, his likeness that stood on top of his remains, him and his wife remains since 1904, 05, or whatever. Nathan Bedford Forrest was a Democrat. The Ku Klux Klan was created by the Democrats. Nathan Bedford Forrest was a delegate to the 1868 Democratic Convention. Albert Pike, the founder of the Ku Klux Klan, who was from Boston. And also he was a Confederate general over the 5 civilized tribes who fought for the Confederacy during the Civil War. See, even so-called Native Americans owned black people too, and they fought for their rights to keep owning black folks. You got to think about, I believe, on that Trail of Tears that came through Memphis and all that. You had, Native Americans had their slaves following behind them as well on the Trail of Tears. So you had the civilized tribes that owned slaves. And Albert Pike, this white man from Boston, came to Memphis, came to the South. There's a Masonic lodge. He was a 33rd degree Freemason. He's like the Michael Jordan of the Freemasons. He's like a cross between Paul Bunyan and Santa Claus while he was living. But he was a very powerful guy, but he was the founder of the KKK. He used to live in Memphis, just like Nathan Bedford Forrest used to live in Memphis. Memphis is a very occultish place. There's a lot of occult energy in this part of the country. And that's another topic for another day. What I'm saying is, you got black folks, they talk about we got to remove this statue that's been there for over 100 years, right? He's oppressing us, but not realizing that he, as the founding KKK member, the first Grand Wizard, was a proud Democrat. And yet you say you hate Nathan Bedford Forrest and what he stood for, but yet you are blindly tied to the Democratic Party. And if you come to Memphis, Memphis has a lot of great potential, but it's like a wasteland in a lot of ways because there's a lot of wasted potential. Memphis is not as poor as people make it out to be. This is the corporate headquarters of FedEx. Elon Musk got his AI supercomputer thing that they got to get off the ground. Memphis, as far as the culture, come on now. You can't have America. You can't have the blues. You can't have a lot of things without Memphis. You can't have barbecue without Memphis. There are more recorded songs in American music history about Memphis and its landmarks than any other city in America. Memphis is phenomenal. But The people do not know that. They've been plagued with the propaganda of the legacy media, and legacy media has died a death on November 5th, 2024. Legacy media is no longer. They over. They've been exposed like the Wizard of Oz. The charade is over. The masquerade is over, right? So with that said, um, I'm a black man who lives in Memphis and Shelby County, Tennessee, who voted for Donald Trump 3 straight times. Never regretted voting for Donald Trump 3 straight times. I do regret voting for Obama 2 straight times. And like Brother Malcolm X is finally hitting home that the white liberal is not the black man's friend. Like Malcolm X, to paraphrase what the brother said, he said the Negro Revolution is controlled by foxy white liberals and the government, but the Black Revolution will be controlled by God. So there's a spiritual awakening going on in what I call the Trump geist of black folk. And what people don't understand, or understand that the black vote is the most powerful vote of all, especially for the Democrats, because you got to understand that if they don't get above 90% black voter participation for the Democratic Party, they don't win a presidential election. They've been having almost up to 90+% support from black people in about 60 years. And Lyndon B. Johnson, who helped pass the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, allegedly said that you have those, voting Democrat for 200 years. And we made it up to 60 years, but we sick, boss. Now you sick, boss. I ain't sick no more. Matter of fact, I don't work for you no more, boss. You fired, boss. You fired. This is what a lot of us thinking right now. So this is what happening, where the Democratic Party could not get over 90% black voter participation. Now, from my understanding, from different, I think they got 92% black women. But once again, guess who have saved America? Once again, it's the black man. And people talking about, well, black men hate women and all this stuff. No, we love women. I love my black mama. I'm a proud mama's boy. I love my black mama. I love my black grandmothers. I love my black aunties. I love my black sister. I love black women. And but the people don't understand, or understand is that women would not have had the rights to vote without black men dying and fighting in the U.S. Civil War. If the black man did not fight and die for his freedoms, a lot of other groups of people would not have been freed. Because by us doing that, we got the right to vote, when they passed the amendment, whatever. But that opened up the gateway for other folks to get their rights. Just like the civil rights movement opened up the gateway for others to get advantages that, which unfortunate, we did not really enjoy like we should have as black folks, because affirmative action, if you look at it from a historical perspective, the group of people that benefited mostly from affirmative action were white women. We're not black American men and women. And the government did a number on us because, 60 years ago, some of the most married people in the country were black people, black men and women, black women, men. Black men and black women were the most married couples. If I go back 60 years ago, both my father and my mother came from large families. They had a lot of siblings. And both of their parents were married. Both sets of parents were married. Both sets of my grandparents were married to each other with a large, family. And they made it work. But now you look at 60 years later, people talking about baby daddy, baby mama, broken home, dysfunctionality. And what's happening in the home is a reflection of society. The instability on the outside is affected on the inside as well. It starts at home. It's like people, they are upset. They believe that Trump, their Project 2025, they're going to get rid of Black history in the schools. They're going to get rid of a lot. And my thing is, I never learned Black history at school. I'm 44 years old. I never learned Black history at school. The way I learned Black history was Like I told y'all so many times before, my grandmother had a 1 volume World Book Black History Encyclopedia from the 70s. See, I still remember a time where before there was like an internet, Google, and all this stuff and smartphones. I used to go to my grandma's World Book encyclopedias, and then my mom brought some World Book encyclopedias, and I just go through them for hours and hours on end, just looking up random stuff. And that World Book, 1 volume from the 70s that she had in her home, helped me get a foundation for who I was as a person and where I come from. And then listening to the elders in my home or at home or among family gatherings helped me get more information. And then my mom, who had a love of public service, community service, and volunteering as 11 and 12 years old as a tour guide with my mom at the National Civil Rights Museum where Dr. King was martyred. I started, reading the panels, going to the gift shop, read the books, talk to the people that would come through. I got my learning about Black history from the community. That's what I'm saying. Schools are not responsible for teaching you about knowledge yourself. That's not the role and job of a school. You learn that from your family and your village. We don't have that type of mindset anymore. And so, Department of Education that's been around since 1979. If y'all don't want it to be gone, it needs to be reformed. It needs to, I mean, that's why we got the Department of Government Efficiency with Musk and Vivek. Maybe they had to trim some of that fat because what's killing this is Department of Education is not about educating kids. It's about bureaucracy. It's about administrative costs. It's about uh, political nepotism, like any other bureaucratic entity that needs to be trimmed. It's not about kids. Kids are the last thing to think about, the last priority on the list if the kids are even a priority at all. So, with that said, um, I want to talk about what Malcolm talked about 60 years ago. I want to talk about the court jesters, the puppets known as celebrities. Uh, Cat Williams said that 2024 is going to be the great reveal, right? People will be exposed, truth will be told in 2024. And 2024 has lived up to the hype and expectations of what the prophet Cat Williams said early in the year. And so what's been exposed is what Malcolm talked about. He talked about the white liberals, he talked about the Democrats, and he talked about the puppet celebrities. They all been exposed. And the Democratic Party tried to manipulate the people. And thank God that there is still some semblance of common sense left in the world today. And the people had spoken and have spoken November 5th, 2024. And what I said is what I think is interest that Kamala Harris try to pay, and I don't want to, it's not unusual. It's not unusual for folks to pay for endorsements. It's not unusual. But what it is this interest that Kamala Harris was only with the nominee for 3 months or something like that. Basically, she ain't have a long time to campaign at all. And I need to know if she raised $1 billion, why is she in debt? Why is the campaign in debt? And the thing about it has been stuff circling around. Look at all these rumors online every day. So they claim that allegedly that Kamala gave these A-list celebrities the bag for their support and endorsement and for their twerking. They said that Oprah got $1 million for a Harpo production to put on Harpo production company to put on the town hall that she hosted for Kamala that featured, I believe, what J-Lo and who else, Julia Roberts, Meryl Streep. Uh, that her company was paid $1 million. That Oprah the billionaire wasn't paid directly $1 million, but Harpo, her company, took the $1 million. And so it's still Oprah taking the money. And They said that Beyonce got $10 million, which is interesting. Then they said Lizzo got $3 million. I love Detroit too, but I got $3 million. Then they say Eminem got $1.8 million for his endorsement. And mom spaghetti, palms are sweaty. How much did Obama get paid for that? But anyway, so they paid these celebrities. Then Al Sharpton, the right Reverend Snitch. I mean Al. He got paid 500,000 allegedly from the Kamala Harris campaign. So I wonder, did she pay Taylor Swift at all? But I think that's interesting. Wow, and she still lost. No, no, she had J Lo crying. It's like it's weird. Donald Trump, he is an A-list celebrity. He's one of the most popular TV shows of all time. He's an icon. He's American, and now he's really a global icon or iconoclast, whatever you want to label him. But he's forever famous. He will be forever famous or forever infamous, depending on the narrative that you decide to partake in. But Donald Trump, I don't think he paid Tucker Carlson anything. Maybe he did, maybe he did. I don't know. He had, instead of giving money to billionaires, he's a billionaire himself, but he had a billionaire like Elon Musk give over $200 million to his campaign, whereas Kamala had to give Oprah $1 million for her endorsement. Did Oprah charge Obama for the endorsement back in 2008? And she actually I feel like she was really ecstatic to endorse Obama. So I'm sure she gave Obama money for the campaign. I'm not sure, but I will figure, because she came out doing that tough fought primaries with Hillary to endorse Obama. She endorsed Obama, and Hillary was more established, more name recognition at the time. Obama came on the scene hot back in 2004 at the DNC. He did an amazing speech. And I remember I was talking to a college classmate and friend who just came back from Africa. He just do his tour of duty of Peace Corps. And we was watching in real time Obama's speech up in Boston and the reaction from the people at the DNC. And I can remember like it was yesterday. I told him, I said, you see that guy right there? We just listened to? He's going to be president by 2012. And sure enough, Obama was president in 2012. And so that's called predictive programming, I guess. But she leapfrogged over Hillary to get the Obama to endorse him during that tough fall primary, where Hillary tried to foreshadow something bad happening to Obama in June. That's why she was still hanging in the primary hunt. She said, well, Robert Kennedy got killed in June or something like that. Anything could happen in June. And Hillary's a gangster. She's a Chicago gangster. She came out, she was a Barry Goldwater girl, Republican family, which is interesting, conservative family, but she was a gangster. Her mentor, Sal Alinsky, the so-called community organizer, his mentor was Frank Nitti, who was Al Capone's number two, who took over for Al Capone when he went to jail for income tax evasion. So Hillary Clinton's mentor was trained by Frank Nitti, who was the mob boss of Chicago who ran the outfit. So this is Hillary Clinton. And Sal Alinsky basically hand-selected Hillary and groomed her for her current assignment. So look up Sal Alinsky. Check out his last interview I think he did with Playboy. We talked about making a deal, I guess, with Satan or the devil, whatever. But it's out there. Y'all can read it. Take a look. It's all online. But I don't think Oprah paid or got paid by Obama for that endorsement. That made a difference in 2008. But people got to think that Kamala is not Obama. She cannot speak as well, or she's not a great orator like Obama is and was, whatever. And so, no, you can't. That playbook was so 2008, but she wasn't the right actress for the role. She was in over her head. She should have just stayed in the background. And what I'm going to say about that, oh, my head, it wonders. Okay, you remember when Joe Biden immediately, he said that, after Donald Trump got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, They forced Biden out. They did a coup. The party did a coup. The Democratic Party forced Joe Biden out the door. But Joe Biden said at the beginning of his regime that he was going to be basically a one-term president, right? So why did he run a primary when he won 14 million votes? I get, but then that first debate, which is unusual to have a debate, a presidential. Normally, presidential debates don't happen until the fall, and they had it unusually early, in like the first days of summer. And I guess they did that on purpose to try to, show how Joe Biden was not up for the job, even though he's still president as we speak after the November 5th election. He is still the president of the United States, at least until January the 20th, unless something, God forbid, happens. And so he said, hey, I want to nominate Kamala as the presidential nominee for our party. So my thing is, this is like, okay, you already said this guy is mentally incompetent. Why would you take his advice seriously about who should step in his shoes to run, the relay race of the 2024 presidential elections? If the man's mental competence is in question, why would you go with him and say we want Kamala too? And Obama, to his credit, the Obamas, because they are a team, they were hesitant to embrace and queen make Kamala. They didn't rush out like Joe did and some other people did to endorse Kamala. Because the thing about Kamala is that what was very telling is that the fact that Joe said at the beginning he was going to be like a one-term president, a transitional one-term, whatever, and yet he ran a primary, and nobody really thought about Kamala for about 3+ years. She was like the female version of Dan Quayle. I mean, George H.W. Bush was a popular president. People forget that because they said, well, Bill Clinton won, but the only reason really Bill Clinton won because of Ross Perot split the vote. Because Bill Clinton didn't get 50% of the popular vote. He didn't get 50% of the vote. Ross Perot came in and got his cut, and that really cut into George H.W. Bush's voting. So anyway, that's another story. But when you think about all this stuff, she had to pay for these endorsements. Even did she pay Cardi B anything? I mean, they gave Meg the Stallion $5 million for twerking. I mean, Meg Stallion. I mean, she got a body, but is it worth $5 million? She got a body, but is it worth $5 million? I don't know. That's a lot for that WAP. Pay $5 million for that WAP, and they WAP twerk thing. That's interesting. But anything black folks are so, we as a collective are so low vibrational. You remember, like, they get to the polls vote, but they try to use them strippers down in the ATL and they try to get black folks to get voting, go to the polls, whatever. Just really low vibrational stuff. Fish fry stuff they throw at us, man. It's just very disrespectful. I never seen any other group of people voter shamed like black people, like black Americans. It's really ridiculous. And it's really out of hand. I'm glad that a lot of us rejected the BS. We saw right through the shenanigans, like Kamala Harris cosplaying black. People still say she black because she Jamaican. You got white Jamaicans, you got Indian Jamaicans like Kamala and her dad Donald. Donald Harris allegedly lives a mile away from the White House in D.C. He has not said a mumbling word to say his daughter. All he had to do is come out and say something. He wouldn't come out to even save his daughter's skin that she's in, which is not her skin because she's not our kin. But they, because Kamala, she was the first South Asian vice president, first South Asian American senator. She was an anchor baby. She was raised in Canada. Her parents were not American citizens. How can she run for president? I mean, I guess she gave the DACA babies hope, Dream Act babies, whatever they call them. Stuff is very problematic because identity politics never work, because it's not about substance. It's about appearances. It's not about reality. It's about smoke and mirrors. And identity politics never benefited black people because Obama, he did an interview before he became president. When he was asked, will he give reparations for black people? He said, no, no, no. And basically Kamala, Obama 2.0 without the speaking skills said the same thing. I'm not doing anything just for black people, but y'all do stuff just for Ukrainians. Y'all do stuff just for illegal immigrants. Y'all do things just for rainbow people. Yeah, Skittles, whatever. Y'all do things for specific groups, Asians. But when it comes to black Americans, nobody could do anything. Nobody, not even black folks that's in so-called high office. I'm in Memphis. You got black people, black face folks, all skin folks and kin folks, and all kin folks ain't friend folk. That because y'all can don't mean they're your friend. So you got a lot of smiling faces and backstabbers in these places. They don't do nothing for black Americans. They do everything for everybody else but black people. There's enough for everybody else but black people. And it's time out for that. Identity politics need to die in Shelby County, Tennessee. You got a lot of do nothings up here. They don't support people that are really legitimate grassroots, want to empower, to enrich the people, not take things from people, but put things in people to inspire them to grow and to flow into their rightful spot in destiny. They don't want us to have any type of self-determination in Memphis. And this is a birthplace of a lot of great innovative things. But one thing I learned from these things and people coming through, they don't stay that long in Memphis. They got to go somewhere else because they won't let the grass grow. They won't let the grassroots grow in Memphis. But that's I'm talking about. I'm going through my foot issues and I'm dealing with the politics of the time. These people, they know who I am. They know what I stand on because I'm very transparent. I'm very vocal. And they use that against me to undermine what I'm doing. That's not about people's political party affiliations. There are a lot of good things that the We All Be Group Incorporated as a 501c3 is doing in the city without a lot of help from city entities, county entities. Now we apply for things and they shortchange us. It's like it's an insult. The stuff that we are able to do with no budget, put on award shows, going into the schools. If you've been following me for years, I'm very much an advocate for public education, for public service with the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival that I do every year without any really true fanfare or support from the powers that think they be. And they insult us time and time again. Me and my mom, Dr. Callie Heard, but we love our people. We serve a awesome God. And if you do your God work, God looks out for you. I don't care where, rent somehow gets paid, car notes somehow get paid, insurance somehow get paid. I'm glad I got some type of Obamacare. Even though it's an abomination, I was able to save my big right toe. So I'll give him that. But other than that, he needs to go sit his assets down with his mom jean wearing ass. Wearing his mom jeans to my black man. Get your mom jean wearing ass. Permanent turtleneck having ass out of our face. He's out of our life. He's out of my life. But anyway, I don't know. I'm all over the place. I had stuff to talk about, and I get on here. And also, what's interesting, the Democrats, boy, they good at losing. They should be like call themselves the Washington. They should take the place of the Washington Generals for the Harlem Globetrotters. They love to lose at their own expense. You think about what's going on with Trump. Trump was a Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat. Elon Musk was a Democrat. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. were Democrat. They were all Democrats, and yet they got ran out the party. They had to leave the party. That will be the party of the working class and of the American people. This Democratic Party will be the party of the working class and the middle class, and civil rights and all that. It never was that party. Lyndon B. Johnson needed Republicans to help pass the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act. It was prominent Democrats. People talking about they switched. They didn't switch just because Strom Thurmond became a Republican. Robert Byrd remained a Democrat from West Virginia. Robert Byrd was a top Klan leader in West Virginia for years, and he was the mentor of Joe Biden. Joe Biden did his eulogy, his fellow senator from West Virginia. This is Robert Byrd, a Democrat. He never switched the party. He was a top leader of the Klan in West Virginia. So y'all talking about party switch and all that. They ain't never switch. Who you think came with the Klan? The Ku Klux Klan was invented by the Democratic Party. Nathan Bedford Forrest was a proud Democrat. Albert Pike was a Democrat, the founder of the KKK. So how did they ever switch? Jim Crow. Y'all talking about Central Park 5? Democrats did that. You talk about Scottsboro boys, the Scottsboro boys. Y'all look up the Scottsboro boys from the 30s. At least the Central Park 5 got exonerated and they was able to get some money and they made some movies and all this other stuff. And they mad at Trump for the wrong reasons. They shouldn't be mad at him at all. And nobody should be mad at Trump about the Central Park 5 situation. But what I'm saying is that you look at what happened to the Scottsboro boys from the 30s, how they were railroaded by the Just Us system. See, that's what they need to be teaching when they talk about so-called critical race theory and so-called black history. Show how they always did black folk, in particular black men, black males. They were even men at the time. They were boys looking for work during the Great Depression, trying to help their families, and they got railroaded by two white prostitutes who lied about being about being assaulted. And the thing about it, one of the boys had syphilis so bad it hurt for him to move around. He had to move around with a cane. So they said he got, and then one the white prostitutes recanted her story and said they were never touched by the black boys. Because they always like riding the trains. They know how people doing I guess hoboing, looking for work. You had a section of the train where you had the black teenagers and you had the white teenagers. Then you had these loose white women that were known as prostitutes, going from town to town, spreading the love and other stuff. And the black and white boys got into a fight. And I think the black guys got the better of them in the fight and threw them off the train, whatever. And somehow the authorities were alerted and they stopped the train, got the boys out, and the two white girls, they already got in trouble with the law not too long before that for being prostitutes. So I guess in order to keep from going to jail or whatever, they lied and said these black boys ran a train on them while they was on the train. And they had all these different trials and stuff like that. They had a famous New York mob lawyer named Samuel Lebowitz. He was a famous New York gangster lawyer. And I think he became a judge later on. I think Samuel Lebowitz. Let me see. Leibowitz, whatever. Yeah. 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 Scottsboro boy. He later became justice of the New York State Supreme Court. But Samuel Leibowitz, he was a famous Jewish lawyer who was a mob lawyer. A lot of famous gangsters got represented by him. He took on the case of the Scottsboro boys. So y'all tell me about the Scottsboro boys. And y'all always talking about the Central Park 5. At least, like I said, at least they got a bag and they got some movies done. And they got out of prison. They got exonerated. That's good. But that's not Trump's fault. But what I'm saying is, even with the Scottsboro boys, you dealing with the Democratic Party in their persecution. And let me see, I'll make sure. But getting back to the black celebrities like D.L. Hughley and Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey, these are comedians. This is what, Malcolm talking about, the court jesters, comedians, trumpet players, singers. They shouldn't be taken seriously. Like Usher, I don't hate Usher. I still enjoy Usher music. I mean, whatever he did in his personal, professional life, whatever his political views are, I still enjoy Usher's amazing catalog. He's an amazing singer, entertainer, whatever. With that said, I'm not looking at him for political advice, especially if he did them Diddy parties. What do he know about making good decisions when it comes to personal politics, whatever? That's his business. But what I'm saying is, is that when he was on the View, he wouldn't endorse anybody. But then I guess when Diddy got arrested and Trump about to release those the Epstein list and the JFK files, I guess he might release the Diddy files. He said, I gotta get some protection because there's a lot of stuff going around. Kamala's the AKA. She went to Howard University. Diddy went to Howard University. Diddy loves the party, and you can't say you got to tell him no. But Diddy, Howard homecoming, the diddler, whatever. I'm not even innocent till proven guilty. Due process. I respect due process. But anyway, with that said, how can y'all take any of these people seriously? I mean, they're dependent on the so-called oppressor for their career and their livelihood. They're not free. Why do other slaves look to other slaves to free them? Why do other slaves look to other slaves to free them? The only person that can free a slave is a slave must free him or herself or they selves. Nobody can free. John Brown realized that he could not free black people. All he could do is assist. Like he went to Harper's Ferry to get the weapons so that black folks can have a choice to fight for themselves. He said, your body, your choice. You either gonna fight or you gonna not fight. That's your choice. Your freedom, your choice. So John Brown knew as a white man that he couldn't save black people, but yet he could assist them in helping themselves become liberated, help them have the options and the resources to choose if they want to choose to be liberated, to be liberated. So it's like I can't, Steve Harvey working about 20, 30 different jobs. I understand why he might not have enough energy to please Marjorie, and that it takes a village. I'm just messing around. I'm just jokes, folks. But what I'm saying is, Ye to me is probably the freest black celebrity. I would say he's the freest black celebrity because he basically he did what they call a kamikaze on his career supposedly. But what he did was he did a rebirth, a resurrection. He's like a phoenix that rose from the ashes. He had to get rid of the old Ye because they were making him crazy. So he got rebirth. He gave up some things. I mean, he gave up his billionaire status, but he kept his soul. He gave up his billionaire status, but he kept his soul. But at the same time, I don't follow Kanye around like he's the one, like he's Neo from Matrix or nothing like that. I don't follow him around like that. I respect him for having the ability to find a way to free a part of himself so he could live with himself. And I don't know him personally, but what I'm saying is, when Kanye said years ago, which is years ago now, that slavery was a choice, people got upset. Slavery has always been a choice. Just like living and dying. You may not like your options, but they're choices. Just like, if I was willing to cut off my toe or not, that still was my choice, my body, my choice. Not just about getting rid of babies. See, people want to and that's another thing. They made it all about women reproductive rights. And, America is bigger than any one right. Women's reproductive right. There's other rights involved as well. But what I'm saying is, Democratic Party are so weird. They raise all this money just to become a one-trick Trojan horse pony. A one-trick Trojan horse pony. This is not about reproductive rights. This is about population control. And not just the numbers of people walking the planet, but also how they view themselves, how people view themselves. You got about 7 to 8 billion different realities on the planet. Y'all say this is reality. Who reality is that? Because your perception is your reality. So we intersect, our realities all intersect or intertwine or entangle in certain instances, but we all got different versions of reality. And what helped me is like what Baba Dick Gregory said: when the universe God or the universe chooses to put the magic glasses on you, you can't force nobody to see what you see. Do you see what I see? No, I don't. No, no, I don't. So I can't force people to see the world the way I see it. And that's why I'm at peace a lot of times. Even when the heated debates and stuff, I'm not calling people out their names. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody. I'm trying to understand, overstand, understand, whatever. I'm not trying to be, but I noticed that dealing with Kamala Harris supporters and Democratic supporters, people I don't even know, some family, some friends. I had my pastor my childhood pastor who baptized me, he unfriended me twice on Facebook. And he said some very mean spirited things about people who supported Trump. And so I did, and I took it upon myself to honor him with my limited resources, my organization. And my thing is, man, I grew up with this guy, and I didn't know. It's like now I'm looking at it. I mean, are you an elder or are you older? There's a lot of old folks, but they don't have a lot of wisdom. They're just around a long time for whatever reason. And I noticed that a lot of older people that I interact with, they was all, and some of them were civil rights people and all this stuff. And they went for Kamala Harris, but I noticed also that they like to watch CNN all day and MSNBC all day. And I don't look at cable news. I don't. When I go on YouTube, a lot of times I'm just looking at people podcasts. It don't have to be like a Joe Rogan podcast, but I find different people from different walks of life, and I just want to get their viewpoints, or I just engage people in the streets. And that's why I knew that Donald Trump was going to win in a blowout in the electoral college as well as in the popular vote, because you could feel it in the air. Like Phil Collins, I could feel it in the air. I could feel the mood, and like for the last several days, I've been having some very entertaining conversations with white men in public spaces. Not no scary, fearful conversations, but I let it be known. I think for myself, I voted for Trump. I love President Donald Trump. He's the greatest president of my lifetime. I've been on this planet since for 44 years. I was born and conceived during the time of President Carter, and I actually got a chance to meet President Carter and his wife 9 years ago down in Plains, Georgia, after Sunday school and regular church service. He led the Sunday school. Now you look at what's going on with President Carter now. It looked like some scary Walking Dead, World War Z stuff going on. Is that really him? But no disrespect to him. But 9 years ago, he was very much, walking around, cracking jokes, teaching Sunday school. So I respect President Carter a lot. He's one of my favorite presidents, but to me, Donald Trump is one of the greatest presidents of all time. Based on what he had to go against and what he had to come through, he had the greatest political comeback in history. Although I don't believe he lost that 2020 election at all. I don't believe he lost it. I do not believe he lost that, because I don't understand. Like this time around, he got over 70 million votes. Kamala fell short, but where's the 11 to 15 million votes that showed up for Joe Biden to help him get 81 million votes, more than any presidential candidate in U.S. history? You mean Joe Biden got more votes than Obama, Clinton, Nixon, Reagan, FDR, Joe Biden? Come on, man. Somebody's lying. Joe Biden? Somebody's lying. I don't believe that, because I don't forget in 2020, was that the election night was November 4th or something? I don't know. But anyway, 2020, stayed up late election night, looking at the return. I said, dang, man, this is going to be a blowout. I was looking at, man, like return, man. Even the news said like Donald Trump is doing pretty well. It's like it's going to be in here, And I go to sleep, wake up the next morning, Joe Biden wins. I'm like, what? What? How's that possible? I'm like, Joe Biden won, and like, people celebrating the streets. Ding dong, the king is dead, whatever. And like, wait a minute, man, this can't be right. This can't be right. And like, you look at it now, it doesn't fit. And also, you got to look at the fact that Twitter was not controlled by Elon Musk at the time. Jack Dorsey and his goons, whatever, his tech goons. When that story came out about Hunter Biden's laptop, they suppressed that information on Twitter. They, deplatformed Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump's Hitler, right, You think Hitler would let Facebook and Twitter and any other social media platform silence him? You think Stalin or Chairman Mao will allow social media to keep on quiet while they're in the prime of their power? You think even Putin would allow a Twitter or anybody else to do that to him? So Donald Trump is not he's not a tyrant. He's not a dictator. He's not a fascist. He actually allowed for the transfer of power. People talking about J6 insurrection. That was not an insurrection. I'm gonna do people a favor. I'm gonna keep on saying this till I'm just gonna keep on saying it. Donald Trump offered the mayor of DC 10,000 National Guard because he knew that the climate during that time was very emotional. He knew that a lot of people was coming in town to protest the vote of certifying the vote, whatever. They was protesting, and they was no, they a lot of them pro-Trump supporters, but a lot of people coming in town, so he knew that the infrastructure might be a little bit challenged. And so he offered to provide 10,000 National Guardsmen to DC, and Mayor Bowser turned it down, and Speaker Pelosi, they turned it down. And from my understanding, she confessed to her daughter that she made a mistake about turning down the extra support. So does that sound like a person who's trying to lead an insurrection if he's offering 10,000 soldiers to come to DC to make sure things don't get out of hand, and they turned it down? They don't sound like somebody who's like a insurrectionist to me, or a dictator or a fascist. Sound like somebody who's president of the United States who's concerned about public safety as well as the safety of Congress. So whatever, to each their own. But my thing is this: is that Joe Biden said he won't pardon his son. His son is facing prison sentencing soon. Hunter Biden. And that's one thing you don't never hear about Trump kids getting in any type of trouble. Not saying that they don't, everybody got their struggles, but it's like for the most part they have turned out pretty well. And then I'm looking at Barron Trump, who might be the one to watch. I think Barron's gonna really take up his father's. He's gonna walk in his father's footsteps. He's a tall young man. He looks like a young, uh, longer version of Trump. They say he's highly intelligent. He's at NYU right now. Wish him the best. And Mike Tyson said he ate with the family in Mar-a-Lago not too long ago, and he was very impressed by Barron. And a lot of folks made speculations about Barron being like on the spectrum, but hell, Elon Musk is on the spectrum allegedly. So I believe everybody's autistic. Be honest with you, is on the spectrum. I just just some are more functional and more brilliant than others. But I always like looking at that movie. One of my favorite Ben Affleck, and one of my favorite movies of all time is The Accountant. When Ben Affleck plays the very gifted accountant who has Asperger's, I think, and he's also an assassin by night. And so that's a great movie, The Accountant with Ben Affleck. And so anyway, with that said, um, I'm all over the place. But getting back to, I want to get back to, cause I gotta do another show. Cause I just want to make sure I do something because everybody's out there popping and locking and dropping, and I want to be a part of that chorus and be like, misery, state of misery. Show me. I want to show y'all something. And Donald Trump to me, he's like, I really do believe he may be a time traveler, but also he's a spirit warrior. He's a spiritual warrior that's been reincarnated. I believe that Donald Trump is JFK, Huey Long, and Jack Johnson's revenge. I believe he's JFK, that's John F. Kennedy. They both were Geminis or are Geminis. I believe Kennedy was a May Gemini. And you got Huey Long, the great kingfish, the real kingfish, every man a king, share the wealth movement. Share the wealth movement. It reminds me of the MAGA movement. And I always tell people that this time period reminds me of the 1930s. It doesn't remind me of the 60s. People talking like, all this stuff that was happening, Black Lives. This is like the 60s. I said, no, this is like the 1930s. If the 1930s had social media, And anybody know? Look at what was going on in the 1930s. You had all these movements: socialism, fascism. You had the bonus army that led to the GI Bill. It wasn't World War II that created the GI Bill. It was the sacrifices of World War One veterans who participated in the bonus army to try to get grievances addressed by their government. They were owed reparations from World War One that were not delivered. So they took it into their own hands. They had a tent city in D.C. It was got broken up by the government and sent in their goons. Their black booted thugs. Yeah, people like MacArthur, Eisenhower, and George Patton. They led the forces that evicted the World War One veterans out of D.C. They got into a couple of skirmishes. People got killed, I think. Uh, Even one person who was a part of the bonus army was a guy who saved George Patton's life in World War One. And I believe, like, it's crazy. It's crazy, brother against brother. This Civil War mentality. Civil War never ended culturally, to be honest with you. But that's another story. But now, Huey Long was a guy who was the governor of Louisiana, who was a senator from Louisiana. He's one of my favorite politicians of all time. And Trump is like, he had that populism. He had millions of followers on the radio. When he was a senator, he'd get tens of thousands of letters from around the country. He had the Share the Wealth movement, Share the Wealth Club, Every Man a King. He wanted a shortened work week, limit the hours of what a work week should be, a living wage for everybody. He wanted to raise the living conditions for everybody. And Huey P. Newton, the founder of the Panther Party, Black Panther Party for Self-Defense out in Cali, he's from Monroe, Louisiana originally. His folks named him after Huey Long because Huey Long had an adult literacy program that taught every citizen in Louisiana who needed to learn how to read if they were adults. He didn't care about your color. He was one of them rare Southern politicians that didn't do all that race baiting and all this stuff because he saw a lot of things as a class issue. Like he actually took on Standard Oil, the Rockefeller people in Louisiana, to help get money to fund bridges to connect parishes. We got counties in Tennessee. Louisiana got parishes. They have a parish, a parishes, right? So they needed roads to be improved. So he helped, he took on Big Oil, Standard Oil, whatever, got them to pay to improve the roads and the, got them to pay for free school books for kids. He helped do the literacy program for the adults so they learn how to, read, and they had one of the highest literacy rates in the country by the time he got through with it. And also he gave a lot of money to LSU. So LSU could not have its amazing football program without the Kingfish making sure there was enough money going to LSU to establish itself. And he was a proponent of the New Deal. He supported FDR New Deal, but he felt like it was not doing enough. He also wanted to keep the United States out of what was going on in Europe. So he didn't believe, like Trump, Trump was he's the first peace president we had in my lifetime that I could think of, because America has been in a wartime economy since the end of World War II. That's really how the Great Depression ended, was by us being in constant wars. Made a lot of money for the military industry complex. But Huey Long was against being in any type of global conflict. He was an isolationist, and that was a popular movement back in the day before, the Pearl Harbor, PSYOP, whatever happened on December 7th and 41. And I'm saying all this like, why are you talking about Huey Long? This is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the billionaire version of Huey Long. And he's a populist like Huey Long was in his own way. And I want to get like, no, he was a threat to Franklin Roosevelt, because once he stopped supporting the New Deal, he became opposition. Even though he was a Democrat himself, he had a heart for the people. And so he was assassinated. What happened to Huey Long? He went back to Baton Rouge because he used to be the governor of Louisiana. He was doing his thing, King Fish flexing. And allegedly, this doctor named Dr. Carl Weiss, I think his wife's father was a judge. Allegedly, he approached Huey Long in the Capitol building and brandished a gun and shot Huey Long. And then Huey Long's bodyguard, first I think he punched Huey Long, did like a Will Smith slap or punch or whatever. And then allegedly he shot Huey Long. But here's the thing. I don't know if that's true or not, because what happened, Huey had a lot of bodyguards. He made a lot of powerful enemies. So he had a lot of armed bodyguards around him. So what happened was, I believe Huey Long got shot by his own people, friendly fire, supposedly. And that they planted the gun from Dr. Carl Weiss. I don't believe he had a gun. From different sources, they say he did not have a gun on his person. But to justify them like going ape shit on Dr. Carl Weiss and making him to Swiss cheese, I believe an official went to his car and got his gun out the car and placed it at the scene, allegedly. And what's interesting about Huey Long, it's possible he could have survived the assassination attempt like Trump, but here he got finished off on the operating table down in New Orleans. They took him down to New Orleans and they finished him off. It's like they finished off Dr. King in St. Joseph's Hospital in Memphis, because he probably could have survived, but they made sure he got finished off at the hospital in New Orleans, because he made a lot of powerful enemies. Like I say, he took on the Rockefellers, he took on the political establishment, and he had to get out of there. So they got rid of Huey Long. And I guess to paraphrase his last words, allegedly, he said, "God, please don't let me die. I got so much to do." And he wrote a book that I think y'all should read, because if you want to understand what Trump is doing right now, like I referred to it as the team of rivals. You had the author, I think Doris Kearns Goodwin. That's her name. I think. Let me see. I think I'm gonna wrap it up too. I ain't talking about the other thing. I'm talking about this thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Doris Kearns Goodwin. She wrote a book called Team of Rivals. They're talking about Abraham Lincoln's cabinet, where he put a cabinet together of people that he was political, that were his political nemesis, but they end up, becoming great allies, and all that stuff. And so Huey Long wrote a similar book that came out decades before Doris Kearns Goodwin. I want to say it might have been published posthumously after he passed away, because he thought, he was going to run for president in 1936. He could have won probably, because he was that popular. He was very, very popular. This was before social media. My first 100 days in the White House. Y'all need to read that book. I read that book and I love that book, man. I couldn't put it down. And it talks about him. My first days, he went on my first days in the White House. It came out in 35. I think it came out after he was dead. Maybe. Let me see. I don't know if it came out after he did. I don't know when it was published. It's like 35 though, because he got killed in 35. And it's about him having his presidential cabinet full of his political rivals, like his political nemesis, making peace with them and having it full of his rivals. And let me see. He talked about who he would be in his cabinet. I'm just gonna read it right quick. Read some of it. Read some of the summary. How about that? Approaching the 1936 presidential elections, Louisiana Senator Huey Long details a political fantasy in which he is president of the United States. Through imaginary conversation, Long outlines his policies, including the Share Our Wealth plan, a balanced budget, an income cap of $500,000 per year, and a program to eliminate dust storms. And now you talking about some climate change. Them Great Depression dust storms was no joke. He also proposed, or HARP or whatever. He also proposes to reorganize and modernize the American Air Forces, presumably as either a more autonomous component of the Army or a separate branch altogether. Later carried out in the National Security Act of 47. He was no longer with us. And he got killed September 10th, 35. Long fantasizes about his inauguration as president of the United States, detailing that he would be sworn in on the Bible his father had read to him and his brothers and sisters. He also detailed his nomination picks for his cabinet listed below. Long does not name a Secretary of Agriculture or Postmaster General, instead saying that those offices should be filled from the recommendations of the farm organizations and according to their merit and record of service, respectively. With Long appointed two unnamed individuals, The book also suggests that the director of budget should be elevated to a cabinet position, with Al Smith of New York filling the role. Al Smith was the first Roman Catholic to run for president of a major party, presidential nominee of a major party. He was the governor of New York. I think he ran back in 28. But the Klan was really strong back in the 20s, 4 million members strong, and they didn't support Catholicism. They were just against Catholics as they were against Black and Jews, supposedly. And so, yeah, the book does not name Long's vice president. So he had Secretary of War was Smedley Butler. I don't know y'all know who Smedley Butler was. Look him up. He's the guy that was a two-time Congressional Medal of Honor recipient for the Boxer Rebellion and the Spanish-American War. Uh, he was approached by Wall Street banksters in the Wall Street plot, whatever. They wanted him to become president of the United States. They wanted to lead a coup d'etat to overthrow Franklin Roosevelt and put him as president of the United States. Smedley Butler. They call him the Fighting Quaker. He was a Quaker, I guess, of the Quaker religion, and he was from Pennsylvania. And Smedley Butler was a true patriot because he went to the press and to Congress to talk about how he was approached by these entities from Wall Street to help overthrow the government. He was a real patriot. And he was the one that coined the phrase, war is a racket, war is hell. Like, you read some of his pamphlets online, some of his literature is still available online. General Smedley Butler. And he said, like, I paraphrase him, he said, I was a more effective racketeer than Al Capone, whereas Al Capone operated in Chicago. I operated on multiple continents, creating banana republics for multinational corporations. Think about Allen Dulles and the CIA, how they created banana republics for different entities, multinational corporations. Think about how the Vietnam War was escalated after they killed Kennedy so that the helicopter industry could make a killing in more ways than one. The helicopter industry was dying, and then the Vietnam War, it got escalated, and then they started making some money in the helicopter industry and among other things. But what I'm saying is, this just reminds me of Trump. He got Marco Rubio as his Secretary of State pick. Come on, the guy from Fox, he picked as his Secretary of Defense. What else? He got Franklin Roosevelt as his Secretary of Navy. That was the current president at the time, his rival. And Franklin Roosevelt I think he was like Assistant Secretary of the Navy at one point. He got former President Herbert Hoover as Secretary of Commerce. And a lot of people blame Herbert Hoover, for the 29 Wall Street crash. That's not all his fault. Herbert Hoover, y'all should look into him. He was a very interesting guy. Kind of like one of those Horatio Alger stories. He pulled himself up by his bootstraps. Stanford educated, I believe. A very wealthy man. He was very good businessman. He just got caught in the wrong time cycle. That's all. So you had Herbert Hoover, the Secretary of Commerce. So I just want to name those people in particular. But look what Trump doing with his cabinet. He got Tulsi Gabbard, national intelligence director or national director of intelligence or something like that. You know what I'm talking about. Matt Gaetz, potential attorney general, somebody who knows what it feels like to be on the other end of a weaponized just us system. Matt Gaetz got that populism spirit. He remind me of a Huey Long. He's from the panhandle of Florida, Louisiana. Excuse me, from Florida, and then Huey Long was from Louisiana. Country boy, but he tried to do good for the American people. And it's funny how they do Huey Long is how they do Trump. It's like they make him into this demagogue, this dictator. He was a dictator because he took on the elites. He was an anti-establishment candidate at the local, state, and national levels. and he actually was a hell of a lawyer, a very brilliant lawyer. None other than William Howard Taft, who the former president and vice president of Theodore Roosevelt, and former president, who became a Supreme Court justice. I think he was the chief Supreme Court justice. I think he loved that job more than being president. Now, Huey Long presented before William Howard Taft, who was Mr. Skull and Bones. He was part of that Skull and Bones crowd, the Illuminati. And William Howard Taft was very impressed with Huey Long in the courtroom. He thought he was brilliant. And it reminds me, because like I think about Huey Long, I think about Trump, they so similar. It reminds me of like I think Richard Nixon, the former president. I believe I saw a Donald Trump documentary where he wrote a letter to Donald Trump or something like that. And he thought that Donald Trump had the makings of a good president. So he could see, it's something about you could see in people. Sometimes they may not be able to see it in themselves at the time. But yeah, Donald Trump is like Huey Long, because like they did the movie and the book Kingfish, whatever. I forgot the movie is based on Huey Long's life. They did a remake of it with Sean Penn playing the lead role. They put me like Huey Long. Let me see that movie. Let me see the name. Now I'm just curious. Uh it's a book. It was an award-winning book. I'm trying to look all this stuff up. I'm gonna get out of here because I could talk on this about. I don't even know if I touched on everything I want to talk about. All the King's Men, right? That's a novel written by Robert Penn Warren, published in 46. The story concerns the rise and fall of Willie Stark, a character model on Huey Long, the governor of Louisiana, during the time frame of the novel, late 20s, early 30s. The book won the Pulitzer Prize in 47. So they did two movies I know of, All the King's Men. There might have been more, but the latest one I could think of was one starring Sean Penn as Willie Stark, who's based on Huey Long. But Huey Long is always portrayed as some evil guy, some sinister, narcissistic megalomaniac. And that's why you know he was a hero. Just like how John Brown, the liberator John Brown, was portrayed as an evil guy by Hollywood for decades. You know, they just recently did a series about John Brown's life. I think it was on Showtime or something like that. And Ethan Hawke played John Brown. I thought he did a great job playing John Brown. But the trans dude, I don't know, man. It's like they always trying to put a black man in a dress. Uh, y'all heard about Denzel. Like I was looking forward to seeing the Gladiator 2. And allegedly Denzel said that they had a scene where he kissed a man on the lips, and they deleted it because they thought they were too afraid. I said Denzel, Denzel or Dunzel. His mama says it's pronounced Dunzel, not Denzel. We've been saying it wrong. But then they said Denzel or Dunzel said that he kissed a man on the lips in Gladiator 2, and they cut out the scene. They edited out the scene. He was disappointed. He said, I kissed him on the lips, allegedly. I was like, oh my God. Denzel, Dunzel, you too, Dunzel? You too, Brute? He never wore a dress, but he bragged about allegedly kissing the guy on the lips. He did have two earrings on in Gladiator 2. I don't know. To each their own. I might still see the movie because I just recently saw Roman. Was it Roman J. Israel Esquire? Look at, because let me see, Roman J. Israel. Yeah, Roman J. Israel Esquire. That's a Denzel movie that came out in 2017. Now I saw it in the movie theaters. I was not impressed. I was about 37 years old. Was not impressed. I saw it with people, a lot of black folks in the dark, and it was not impressive. And I remember I was talking about the movie, how I was saying Denzel rarely makes any disappointing material. Like a lot of his movies are excellent. Haven't seen all of Denzel movies, but I have saw a number of Denzel movies. You think about even a Soldier Story, and a lot of y'all that was like an all-star cast back in the day. Adolph Caesar, yeah, everybody in that movie. Robert Townsend, I believe, he had a lot of stars or stars in the making in the movie. Even the guy that played C.J. Memphis was actually from Memphis. He passed away young, unfortunately. But a lot of stars in that movie. Denzel did a great job, and a lot of movies. But I was not impressed with Roman J. Israel at the time, and I saw it again last Saturday for the first time in whew, 7 years, and I said, "Damn, this movie's great." It hit different. I think I'm 44 now, and a lot has happened since 2017, socially, politically, whatever. And it's just like you think about George Floyd, and you look at this movie after all that has happened. Man, this is a great movie. Denzel really did his thing. People say, "Well, Denzel just play himself and all this." I said, when you get to that type of, when you do so many iconic roles over the years, and who else he gonna play but himself? And who else Morgan Freeman gonna play but himself? Samuel Jackson, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. You can't help but mimic yourself because, I mean, your work is out there. You're so prolific and amazing. But Denzel said he kissed a man on the lips, and he was disappointed that they cut it out of Gladiator 2. And one thing, it will fit with those times. Do you remember the time? I sure don't. But do you remember the time? I don't. Do not. But you think about the Roman era and the definition of what a mentor really is. I don't like calling people mentors. I call them my Jegna or my Jegna. That mentor word. Think about North American Man Boy Love Association. South Park made a joke about it. What they call it, the Marlon Brando Association. It's like how South Park do what it do. But what I'm saying is that mentor word is about is like a Diddy party. So Diddy didn't invent the freak offs. That started with the Romans and the Greeks. They invented the freak off. They were the Diddies. Caligula, Nero, Nero. The church. They did the freak offs first. Diddy didn't do it. So why people say, well, y'all Diddy didn't invent the freak off? Hollywood invented the freak off. Diddy. um, I'm getting off track, I think. But anyway, I'm about to wrap it up because I think I talked about a little bit what I want to talk about. Yeah, stroll to the polls. Thank you, man. Stroll to the polls. Thank you, Rashawn. Yes. Yeah, it's something I'm just looking. Let me see. See y'all. Thank y'all for tuning out to tune in to get in where you fit in. Yeah, Joe Biden was relieved, man. He was happy. Mm. I'm just looking through y'all. Said Trump is not giving them reparation. He threw us a bone to those who are listening. Second time recognizing black folks. Listen. What's interesting? Like, people talk about what's going on, like, anti woke. I'm not against woke. I wanted to be wake woke though. See what they did was they took woke. Woke was a good thing. To be woke was a good thing. Remember when Erica Badu had that song, I Stay Woke, I Stay Woke? They took that and bastardized it. And mainstream media turned that against us. We got to take our woke and rainbow back. Take the woke and rainbow to be aware. To be aware is to be woke, not to fall for the okey doke. A lot of people that say they woke, they sleepwalking. And with that said, it's like the rainbow. That's our rainbow. Take it back. That's the biblical. That's ours. Take it back. Stop letting people bastardize our rituals, our culture, and whatever that may be to you. But I believe this would be the great time to get reparations. This is the optimal time to get it because you look at politics. When I talk to a lot of people recently, especially white men, we basically want the same stuff. We want, safe neighborhoods, good schools, good paying income. We just want stuff, affordable housing, affordable food. That's just basic human needs. Basic human needs. And my thing is that they could use the media to normalize a lot of stuff. You look at how the media was used to have us loving Trump for years. Then they have a lot of us hating Trump based on what? Orange Man bad. Y'all used to love Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an iconic, you wrestling fans. Y'all love when he body slam Vince McMahon or whatever. I'm just saying, like, I remember somebody told me recently that Young Jock was disinvited from a Kamala Harris rally. Like, he was supposed to perform at a Kamala Harris rally, the rapper from Atlanta. But he said he got disqualified or disinvited because in one of his songs, I guess the song he was going to perform, he gave a positive shout out to Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump may be the most rapped about person in hip hop history. Like, there probably more songs about Donald Trump than anybody else. Because rappers used to love to say they like Trump or be with Trump. And Trump did a couple of albums. I know he did Method Man's Judgment Day. He did a skit on there. Something we at the party waiting for your release or whatever, your album to drop. So that's Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is very comfortable in his skin. He's comfortable around black people. He's a cool one of them cool New York guys, right? Old school cat. He doesn't drink or smoke, but he knows how to have a good time. He knows how to talk to people. He's a people's person. Uh, it's weird how people like, oh man, I can't stand Trump. Trump is the problem. And I talked to military veterans, some in my family. They said, well, Trump get back in there, we're gonna go to World War III. I said, we already in World War III because Trump was not in office for the last 4 years. When he was in office, we didn't have any new wars. He knew how to deal with the Taliban. He knew how to deal with Iran and even Israel. And it's interesting to see what's gonna go down with Huckabee and in Israel, because Huckabee is a minister as well too. He was the former governor of Arkansas. His daughter is now the governor of Arkansas, who used to be Donald Trump's press secretary. So he's been nominated to be ambassador to Israel. And I believe Donald Trump is a very smart man, a very wise man. People want to say, well, you look at the people he got in place in some of his cabinet picks he want, like the governor, Christy Nome, from the one from the Dakotas. She's very pro-Israel. But I believe Donald Trump, like I said, Donald Trump got this team of rivals thing going on. He's channeling his Huey Long and his inner Huey Long and Abraham Lincoln on this situation. And I'll just wait and see, man. I don't want to call anything too soon. Let's see if they get in office. Let's see if the majority Republic Senate, whatever, in House, whatever they do, get these nominations in, because Trump ain't wasting no time in getting his stuff on. He getting his ground on. He may be the hardest working president in history, to be honest with you. Calvin Coolidge took a lot of vacations. We know Joe Biden took a lot of vacations, but Donald Trump is a gamer. Even Kamala Harris could not keep up with the output of Donald Trump. Donald Trump was everywhere. He doing podcasts here, flipping McDonald's fries over there, taking out the garbage one day, and that was Monday, a fun day, and Donald Trump was everywhere. And he supposed to be almost 80. Could you imagine Joe Biden? You can't imagine it. They'll be hiding Papa Joe or Uncle Joe in the basement. And Kamala said she was hiding in the hotel rooms or whatever. And my thing is, why you need all this prepping, and when you should know your job for the last 3 years? You was the border czar, and you was MIA on that. So I guess it makes sense to a thinking person. But I don't know, man. I should have wrote down the things I was thinking about. Man, I had long working these 40-hour weeks and stuff, and I said, let me get on and talk to my people about these situations that we find ourselves. Yeah. You know, Matt Gates, yeah, what was his name? Gates got Gat Gates. Take that. I like him. I think he's a good pick to shake up business as usual. I like that pick. You think about administration that would have like a Matt uh Gates, whatever, along with a Robert Kennedy Jr. Woo wee. I can't wait for I don't know, RFK Jr. Is he gonna be health secretary or what he gonna be? He gonna take over the FDA? He about to clean up house, man. And Trump about to release them JFK files, the Epstein list, whoever else, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, UFOs. Things are about to turn around, man. People get ready. People get ready. People get ready. People get ready. It's gonna be an interesting 4 years, and it's time for a lot of us to get in the best shape of our lives and to live our lives, live our authentic self, because authenticity it it's the biggest thing selling, because in the land of the fake, the real ones will rise to the top. And so Donald Trump to me is a real one. And this cabinet he got put together, because he know what, because Marco Rubio reminds me of Trump's son-in-law, that Jared Kushner, the one that's married to Ivanka. Trump's smart as hell, man, with what he doing. Cause like I couldn't even see, I didn't know who JD Vance was until Trump nominated him for his vice presidential pick. Who the hell is JD Vance? And then JD Vance let us know who he was. I was like, man, that was a hell of a pick. You know, um, what was it, Jared Kushner? That's Trump's. Yeah, yeah. I think he reminded me of like a Jared Kushner type. Marco Rubio. Trump had some words for him before, but like I'm saying, Trump, he like Vince McMahon. He don't have any permanent enemies. As far as I know, he'll work with anybody. It's like Vince McMahon, he have these blow ups with like Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, whoever, and somehow they come back. You think, oh, it's over with. No, Bret Hart spit in Vince McMahon's face and all that stuff, and punch him in the locker room and da 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 da. And yet they come back. It's about business. It ain't personal, baby. This is bigger than us. This is about business. This is about the brand. This is about the legacy. This is our thing. So Trump is the type of dude. He don't hold no permanent grudges like that. He'll probably work with. He know who his political enemies are. But even with Joe Biden, he was very cordial with Joe Biden. All jokes aside, he came, and now his wife, she held a grudge, I guess. And if they're going to Mar-a-Lago to sniff through her panty drawer, the government, that is disrespectful. I don't, that's a violation. So anyway, it's fascinating, man. It's a good time to be alive. But yeah, that cabinet is already lit, man. You got Elon Musk and Vivek. Got Robert Kennedy Jr. gonna be put somewhere. Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Gates. It's gonna be awesome. And I think like Matt Gates talked about, I think it was a CPAC speech he did recently or something like that. He talked about, we're gonna clean up house. Like Ratcliffe, the CIA director, bunch of Trump loyalists in his cabinet. Like he didn't have a lot of loyalists in his cabinet. We talked about um, William Barr and his daddy Spook connection, and then you talk about even John Bolton, who was a war hawk, you know what I'm saying, who was like, and then he called Trump crazy, and John Kelly, who's Trump's chief of staff, I believe, military guy. Military don't hate Trump. It's certain entities and individuals within the military industry complex feel like he's in the way of them making money through war, and he's not about that war. He's a deal maker, and he's a peacemaker. He keep the peace through making deals. So different people out, but Matt Gates, well, it was like Camilla, whatever. He already said he put the alphabet boys on notice, whether it be the ATF, the FBI, CIA. If they don't do right by the American people, we're gonna have to defund, abolish, eliminate all those people. I'm all for that, baby. I'm all for that. For that smoke, man. Cause we gotta change things. Like, I'm in Memphis and Shelby County. We got to change it up, man. I can't do this. I'm gonna vote for them because they black and they from North Memphis, South Memphis. They went to Westwood or Whitehaven or Overton. No, what are you gonna do for all the people? Not just for some of the people, not just for people that's in your frat or sorority or go to your church or they family members. What are you gonna do for the people besides doing stuff just for yourself? See, my thing is, if you're gonna serve the people, like my thing is, if I'm a politician, if I'm a public servant, my goal is not for me to get rich off the people. My goal is to enrich the people. My goal is to empower the people. My goal is to love on and serve the people. And that's unfortunate. We don't have real black leadership that do that. They prove to me, uh, I don't want to talk about all the things. Man, I don't make money like that. And I do nonprofit work. I actually got a nonprofit that I do. And it is crazy. Like, even with our track record of excellence, of real black excellence, we cannot get people to help us get funding. It's like it's people that will ask me to support what they're doing in the city, show up for their events. They don't show up for mine or ours. They don't show up for what we do for the people. 'Cause I think that what they're really trying to wonder is, how is Brother Ron able to do the things he's doing? How can they get a show at the Orpheum or at the Hollering Center? How can he get like the Stax Museum to do a movie night for his festival week? I mean, it's about your relationships and your sincerity and you doing the work of God. If you're doing your God work, God will provide, man. I don't I get my blessings from God because I'm doing what God told me to do. And sometimes I feel like it put me in a disadvantage, but in the long run, it's not a disadvantage. Like, I don't believe in death, man. I'm not fearful. That's why them doctors couldn't cut off my toe, because they kept on telling me, well, this can happen. I said, well, you're going to die one day, right? And you can't guarantee if you cut my toe off that stops some so-called infection that then the infection didn't exist. It don't, isn't it? My doctor, my foot doctor, he was shaking his head the other day. He said, they going to cut off your toe for nothing. He couldn't believe, he's a surgeon himself. They was going to cut off your toe for nothing, Ron. For nothing. Because they Kamala Harris supporters. And you a Trump supporter, my man. And I'm a Trump supporter. I believe in making things great again. Not giving up on them, not give in, give up, and give out. And I'm just freestyling right now. I'm gonna have to do a couple 5-minute, 10-minute shorts. But YouTube has really been working against me. I've been trying to upload videos. It's taking like 3 days. These like little 2-hour, 90-minute videos. And that's why I say I need y'all support. If y'all want to see the works and the words from Brother Hurt, please spread the word. We All Be TV 2. That's We All Be TV 2. Or you go to Rumble TV. That's rumbletv.com/We All Be TV. Not Rumble TV, excuse me. That's rumble.com/We All Be TV. Rumble.com/We All Be TV. You could subscribe. Y'all want to stay on the White Tea Plantation? I call YouTube White Tea. It's White Tea Plantation. If y'all want to stay on White Tea Plantation, y'all can subscribe at youtube.com/We All Be TV 2. That's We All Be TV 2 on YouTube, and it's We All Be TV on rumble.com. And also, we got to do a major fundraiser, folks, because like I said, we do a lot of stuff offline as well. Like, we do put on concerts, events, and stuff like that. And a lot of it depends on our pockets, and somehow we have people that see the vision that we're trying to do for the city, that we're doing for the city and the world, and they support. And you can support. You can make a tax deductible donation. Attention, Ronald Hurd II. You can make out to the We All Be Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 752062, Memphis, Tennessee 38175. Once again, that's attention, Ronald Hurd II. The We All Be Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 752062, Memphis, Tennessee 38175. Also can buy and wear Artivist art. And we go to our Teespring place. Got some amazing shirts. See this shirt right here, Rhythm Club Fire 1940. See my artwork in the back here. Woo, 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 woo. That could be on shirts as well too. But anyway, let me see what else y'all got saying, popping in the comments. I have a lot we're gonna talk about, but I don't. My mind is blank. Hmm. You like Negro Dumbers in here, ain't you? Good sister Strata. He must have a reputation. Okay, so I guess cool. So I guess I'm gonna wrap it up. Like I said, I'll probably get on at a later time. But it's weird that Kamala Harris, people saw right through that. All that trickology they were trying to do, and they trying to run the scam. You can't fool the people all the time. They stroll to the polls. That low vibrational stuff. I'm glad. I want to shout out to the black men that stood 10 toes down with me against the Democratic, pimp game. They try to use our women against us. That 4B movement, whatever, deny us stuff. Everything with the Democrats, it seems like is about death. It's not about life. You want to deny, relations, man and women relations, so they can't reproduce and have pleasure. Is everything is like anti-family. And enough of that. Time out. God is called time out for that. I'm open minded to what Trump is doing as far as his cabinet selection. I am open minded to what can be, not what has been, to be unburdened by what has been or something like that. I'm good with that. So thank y'all for tuning out to tune in to get in where you fit in, man. This we all be in it to win it. This is Brother Ron, your brother Ron signing out. This the word from Brother Heard. So please spread it, spread. And also, yeah, I got a video I'm uploading that talks about how Donald Trump is Jack Johnson. It's a throwback classic. When YT decides to let me have my video on this channel, I will let y'all know. But support the work if you believe in the work. Like I said, we could use the help. It's hard to get people. I mean, it's crazy. We've been doing this for years, and people still want to doubt, and people still want to undermine. But whatever God is meant to have for us, it's going to be, because we all be in it to win it. That's how it works. But Jack Johnson, Donald Trump was actually born 4 days after Jack Johnson got killed in some type of freak car accident back in June. I want to say June 10th, 1946, and Donald Trump was born, I think, June 14th, 1946. If I'm not mistaken, but I got a whole video. Take a look. It will be online in some time, hopefully soon. All right, peace. Love y'all madly. We at this piece. One love. Yeah.